Welcome back to Magoozy Reviews. All right, y'all, this is my review for Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episodes 5 and 6. Finally caught up on them, so I'm here to do my reviews on them. But before we get into the video, we just passed 1,000 subscribers. We're on the road to 10,000. We're going to hit 100,000. We're going to beat a million. Go to claim it. It will happen. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Definitely hit the like button at the bottom. I appreciate you guys. Let's get to 2,000, y'all. Let's get to 2,000. All right, y'all. So the Daredevil Born Again, series, I have been enjoying it. Season 2. Episode 4 so far was the best episode, and after watching episodes 5 and 6, episode 4 is still the best episode. 5 is a lot more slower paced, because in episode 4 you see the attack. Well, you see Fisk had the big old boxing event. Next thing you know, all hell breaks loose. Bullseye, Daredevil come through. Bullseye actually is trying to take out Kingpin, so he throws it's a piece of glass, or whatever. He throws it at Vanessa. Kingpin knocks it down with the belt. Glass hits her in the head. So now Vanessa's in the hospital. So that's where the episode opens up at. You see her in the hospital. The doctors are trying to work on her. She's falling in and out of consciousness. Like I said, I got a bunch of notes here. But one thing about episode 5, man, episode 5 was a lot more. It was a lot more flashbacks, because in this was a very foggy episode, because we all know Foggy did die in episode 1 of Born Again. Daredevil Born Again season 1. I thought that was a stupid move. They shouldn't kill Foggy Nelson. Foggy should still be here with Matt and Karen and everything like that. But nonetheless, he isn't here, right? So in this episode, it's Foggy's presence is more so in flashback sequences and stuff like that. But they also tie in the flashback sequences of when Fisk met Vanessa and all that kind of stuff. So it's more so flashbacks more than anything else, right? So and one thing I can say about it is too is like Matt, Daredevil, he's having this conflict because he can't leave Bullseye, by himself to die, because Bullseye did get shot. And Bullseye like, man, just leave me, things I've done and stuff like that. But in the back of his mind, he's always thinking about Foggy and the good things Foggy done. Even when they were working, in the law firm before they went off and did their own business, he was always thinking about the good things and the positive things that, Foggy did. Said, this is what separates us from people like you. He's like, no, I'm not going to kill. You know what I mean? But it also brings up a good juxtaposition later on with Karen, because Karen's at that point where she's ready to kill. You know what I'm saying? Matt is still, he's like, nah, man, bring him to justice. You know how, the heroes always do. Bring him to justice. We don't know, excuse me, no kill rule, that whole thing. But, regardless, so far, so good. Now, one thing I can say about the series, the whole Daniel and BB relationship, dog, it seems so forced, bro. It doesn't seem natural at all. You could tell she's using him. Maybe she might have some feelings for him, over time, she might get some feelings and everything like that. But it just seems so forced, bro. So forced. But one thing I do like about this is Buck. I like Buck. That's like Kingpin's right-hand man and stuff. Buck is I'm gonna get things done. You give me an order, we're gonna do what we gotta do. So Buck kind of finds out about Daniel and stuff like that. And he's leading him out to like the woods. In the back of Daniel's mind, Daniel's like, oh, yo, he's gonna kill me. The funniest part in the whole episode is when Buck goes into the warehouse shop. He's like, stay here, Daniel. He goes inside. It was supposed to be a funny scene, but I bust out laughing. He goes inside the shop. Daniel's just sitting there like banging on the wheel. He turns around, looks at Buck. Buck walks out with a chainsaw and a shovel. He just did. I'm like, oh yeah, he about to get it. It was hilarious to me because of his expression, you know what I mean? But yeah, overall, like, still funny, you know what I mean? And like I said, it just goes back and forth really between the flashbacks and everything like that. We do see Vanessa, regain consciousness towards the end of the episode. Her, Fisk, they're talking and stuff like that. And great acting by the two of them. Just very good acting by the two of them. They do a great job as Fisk and Vanessa, man. They're sitting there and she's like, hey man, Wilson, tell me of the first time we met and stuff like that. And he's trying to talk. He's like, tell me a story. But then she starts to repeat herself. And he's kind of, looking at everything like that. Next thing you know, man, she's flatlining. Absolutely flatlines. And, Vanessa dies at the end of the episode, man. So that I didn't expect. I expected her to regain her consciousness. But, it was enough for her to have that last moment with him and everything like that. And that was, that was sad. Like I said, it was sad. Because even in the comic books, and one thing this show does very well is that it shows how much Fisk loves his wife. Like, Fisk loves Vanessa with all his heart. Like, that's his world and everything. You know what I mean? And they do a great job of really portraying that in the show. Very good job. Like I said, the actors knock it out the park every single time. Yeah, man. So episode 5, a lot more slower than episode 4. Episode 4 was very action-paced. This, I'm trying to remember, does it have an action scene? Now, I know AVTF, they are on the run. They're on the pursuit of Daredevil and Bullseye, who, they're hidden in the church and everything like that, by the father, AVTF. They come in there looking for him, then they find the blood on the ground because Daredevil comes back to get Bullseye. There was one point he was going to leave him, but he's like, nah, he came back because he kept remember what Foggy said. That's the one thing I can say, man. It goes to show the good things that Foggy did, even for somebody who did him wrong and dirty. He helped that man get out of jail. He took some money. Hey, you get out of town, and come to find out, again, like I said, that whole, crossing and everything like that. Buck, that's when he was hired, like I said, the flashback scene by Fist to go after the guy Foggy, let go of. So very cool episode, man. Like I said, it's really a very more high ground, you know what I mean? Episode and stuff like that. And towards the end of the episode, you see Bullseye. They'll bring Bullseye to Karen. And Karen, of course, what he did to Foggy, she's right there. And it kind of ends right there, you know what I'm saying? No, it ends with Vanessa dying. Yeah, man, but overall, episode 5, still a solid episode. Now, episode 6, that opens up right at the hospital, right then and there, you see Vanessa. She's passed away and everything like that. You see Fisk, it was very somber, very somber. One thing about Wilson Fisk, Vincent D'Onofrio did great in this episode was just show the depression or how it hit him and stuff like that, because like I said, she is his world and everything. So you could tell he's just unhinged. He's just angry now, just so much anger built up in him, man. And so, yeah, that was pretty crazy. Also, the episode also I'm sorry, it also shows in the beginning, I guess ABTF, you know what I'm saying, the mercenaries they're going after, other people, other heroes. So they show up to Jessica Jones' house, man, and she puts them down, right? She beats them all up and all that kind of stuff. And I guess like a bomb falls into the house or something, like a little grenade, and her daughter starts playing with it. I'm like, bro, chuck it out the window. Look, I know it's a kid and everything, but I'm like, goodness gracious, Look, I'm being mean, but overall, still, like, that was a really cool action part. I'm looking over here at my notes. Yeah, man, pretty much the main, and also when the doctor came in, he says, he was talking to, Fisk and everything, because he did tell Wilson, I'm gonna try my best to, help your wife. He goes in for a hug. Kingpin kills or picks him up, crushes him, and right there, and then Buck goes, and he just looks at Buck. And that's one thing I like about Kingpin and Buck's relationship. Sometimes a lot of it's nonverbal. Nonverbal. He just gave him a look. As he walked out and Buck just looked at him and walked in, I guess he just cleaned it up. I'm like, dang, man. You're just killing people in the hospital and moving on. But that's the Kingpin, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, like I said, on that, it also goes in, Buck finds out. So they have the big funeral scene. There was a really nice overhead shot of the funeral when they're going into the church. Everybody is dressed in black except for Kingpin. He's in his white suit off to the side. That was a great shot. Great. Like I said, I went to school for photography. So for me, that was a fantastic shot. Man, I love that shot. And of course, like the whole service was beautiful, very somber and everything like that. Flies back to, it's like the after, not the after party, but what I'm talking about, the after service of the funeral. Everybody's talking. There's different side conversations. Of course, Buck finds out about Daniel and BB and everything like that. He's like, hey, look, you know what you need to do. He was like, so this is what you do to find the mole. You create a false story. You see if they run with that. You know what I mean? So yeah, and that was kind of cool because it was Daniel's birthday and BB was like, hey, go over your mom's house. And that's one thing about the whole Daniel and BB. I don't care for it. It's like my least favorite side, you know what I'm saying? Like story and everything like that. But at the same time, you do see them talking all that kind of stuff later on when she goes over to his mother's house and everything. And he does find out about her, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. And like I said, it wasn't genuine. It does seem like, yeah, she was just fishing for a story. And maybe there were feelings there and stuff like that. And I think she does like him or they like each other. But, and on top of that, Buck told him, hey, look, man, because Daniel's like, man, what we did last night, because what happened going back to episode 5, when Buck led him out to the woods, they opened up the trunk and there was a body inside the trunk and they had to shovel it or, they had to take care of business, you know what I mean? And Daniel was like, man, I can't believe we did that. He's like, hey, look, you on another level right now. You can't worry about that. Like, look, they're killers, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was pretty solid. Jessica Jones and Daredevil, they had a really cool action scene at the warehouse. Very cool action scene, how, the two of them fighting back. And I love like when Daredevil throws his stick and everything, how it just ricochets off. I love that, man. Absolutely great. That was a really cool fight scene. Like I said, Heather and Buck, they have a different scene. That was kind of weird. Where Heather was just, having this PTSD when she was almost killed. And Buck was like, well, let your anger out. And she put her arms around. She was really trying to choke and kill him. It was very, very weird, man. Kind of like some BDSM and rock stuff. It was kind of weird. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Also, yeah, another part, Bullseye does come back to consciousness. Karen is right there, and Bullseye's kind of antagonizing her, and she takes the gun, and she's really about to shoot him. She's tired of it. Daredevil comes the last time, knocks the gun out of her hand, and she's just losing it. You know what I mean? She was like, Fisk is still alive, Foggy's dead, he's alive and all that kind of stuff. And she was like, and he's like, what's wrong with you? So right now they're having a difference right now. Karen is just ready to let loose, take people out if need be. Daredevil's still trying to uphold those morals and those, grounds and everything like that, like superheroes usually do. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that was really cool. And like I said, and it ends up with the whole protester situation. The whole protester situation outside of, town hall where Fisk is and everything. The protesters want to get in there. A lot of them got Daredevil masks on and stuff. That was fine. That was fine. But you do see Fisk like go into a basement. Daredevil does show up. Him and Daredevil have a really cool fight scene. And I said that was straight out of the comics, how they portrayed it. Because there was a point where Fisk wasn't even touching him. Daredevil was just moving. He was dodging, man. He was dodging, slipping everything. Next thing you know, when Fisk does touch him, though, yeah, he heads busts him. He throws him to the wall. He actually threw him into the painting that, he originally bought for Vanessa. It was a whole white painting. It was just a white painting, and it had blood on there and stuff. So that was a really cool symbolic how they did that, and they just had a really cool fight scene. They're going back and forth, and Daredevil does get the best of him like he usually does. He takes his stick and knees him, really cool shot. And then Kingpin's like, "What you gonna do? Kill me?" And next, at the end of the episode, you see AVTF find Karen Page, and that's how the episode ends. So yeah, man, we're gonna see how episode 7 turns out. Overall, I like 6 more than I like 5, but so far I do like the Born Again series. We're going to see how episode 7 is, but overall, yeah, really cool, solid episode. Again, like I said, this is a two show review right here in one. So yeah, it's over 10 minutes. But I really do appreciate you guys if you did stay to the end. Don't forget to please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Definitely share and like with your family and friends. Hope everybody has a blessed day, and I'll see y'all soon.